if we're not at our best in these areas, if we're not getting better at our fundamentals, if we're not focusing on the process, it's going to catch us.
BusinessJournalDaily.com. 3 Minutes With is brought to you by Farmers National Bank.
Save, borrow, and invest with Farmers. Take heart knowing you're helping create a strong community. Mind your money at Farmers. Talk directly to local decision makers about your loans, investments, and insurance. Farmers. Fiercely local, fiercely loyal.
As a coach, like on the day-to-day, I talk to our staff all the time about coaches. It's our job to help, like, there's a difference between a player and a pro. There's a difference between a really good coach and an expert coach. Mm-hmm. And the pros, to me, are the ones that when they're in a situation, whether it's making a decision, at a board table, or whether it's a linebacker making a decision on the field, the pros remember. They remember something that maybe in the past they made a mistake on, mm-hmm. but they learned from it.
Yep.
Or maybe they've already played the contingency plan in their head and they got a plan for it in that moment. Mm-hmm. The average ones, they're kind of reacting. They're figuring it out, or maybe inexperienced. Yeah, they're not the pros. We've been there. You figure it out, but
had enough reps to be a pro.
That's it. Yep. But when you've had it, okay, I made this mistake. I got to learn from this. The next time, I'm ready for it.
Yep.
But I think it's our job as coaches to continually put these different ideas out here. What if this happens? If this happens, this happens.
Yep.
And we have to keep doing that. But even as coaches and as leaders, we have to continually try to figure out what these contingency plans are for if that happens.
Yep.
Because the pros are the ones that can remember either what they've physically done or something they've built a plan for.
And they have a plan for anything that's going to happen.
That's it.
I remember sitting with one of my teams one year saying, okay, we're 3-0, and I was sitting with my senior group. Yep. Some people have a leadership council, some senior. I happened to be sitting with my seniors, and I said, okay, we're 3-0. Tell me what messaging needs to go on, because everyone's going to start saying, we're wonderful, and it's okay. Kind of went around the room, whatever. Okay, we're 4-3. Well, the year before they'd been undefeated and we'd lost in the playoffs. I said, no, now we're 4-3. So we went around the room. Well, here's what we're going to have to do. Wouldn't you know it, we were 4-3. And I'll never forget, those seniors had already rehearsed in their mind, not that they wanted to be 4-3, but they'd rehearsed in their mind because they'd been given a rep.
They were ready.
If you will. They were ready. Yep. And we went 8 straight and won the national championship. And to your point, that's what we owe to our people to build a team is, hey, it's not going to be all bed of roses.
Nope.
How are we going to react when such and such happens? And now the hard part, which you know way better than I do, is there's not enough hours in the day to cover every situation. And how do you know when they're listening?
That's right.
That's the hard part.
That's it.
Until they real life live it. Now we had in that one particular illustration, it was still raw that we got beat in the playoffs and we got upset by Central Florida. I mean, it was still an open gash wound. So they were listening and they were rehearsing that, okay, you know what, if we're 4-3, we're still, we're not going to be denied or whatever. And so it's going to be a fun new phenomenon for you guys with the larger number of playoff teams.
Oh yeah.
And
it's going to be a whole different experience.
Yeah.
But that comes into play at Ohio State because you have these wounds, coming off the last year, unless you won them all.
Right. And that's the hard part.
That's the hard part.
That's the hard part.
So when you come into the next year and you can get into a rhythm here and you can win some games here, but if the focus is on the result, not good. No. It has to be on the process. It has to be on your habits, because in matchup games down the road, in the playoffs, in the rivalry game, like if we're not at our best in these areas, if we're not getting better at our fundamentals, if we're not focusing on the process, it's going to catch us. And so I've shared that with our staff, multiple times, and I think that's really something that we have to continually work on throughout the year, because you can run off 10 or 11 games here, and you have to make sure the guys understand. Now, when you have young players who haven't been through it before, it's a lot harder than if they've been through it before and then not finished the way you want to finish.
Right.
So we're counting on these leaders, to be veteran enough to say, hey man, we got to focus on the habits and we got to focus on the process, not on the outcomes of these games.
BusinessJournalDaily.com. 3 Minutes With is brought to you by Farmers National Bank.
Save, borrow, and invest with Farmers. Take heart knowing you're helping create a strong community. Mind your money at Farmers. Talk directly to local decision makers about your loans, investments, and insurance. Farmers. Fiercely local, fiercely loyal.